good. And Proverbs gives us that even balance of how do we remain spiritual people, but practical. We're able to communicate and as God has so ordained from the beginning, subdue and dominate and master this world that we live in. Today we'll be talking about inheritance. What is an inheritance? Went to Merriam-Webster and I found out that an inheritance is the acquisition of a valuable possession, tradition, or trait from the past generation or generations. So in other words, it's not just money. It's traditions. It's even characteristic and physical traits passed from one generation to the other. But what is Solomon saying in today's text? What is he talking about with this inheritance? I had to text my wife as I meditated on this text. I was at work, and I was just asking God, what are you talking about in this text? What's going on in this text? And when God revealed to me what Solomon was talking about in this text, I felt a burden on my shoulders that I had never felt before. I literally stopped what I was doing, texted my wife, and said, baby, what the Lord just said to me is heavy. And I am going to commit the rest of my life to do what he just showed me in this text. What Solomon is saying here is that a good man's inheritance will bless 2 generations after him. I don't think the magnitude has hit you yet.
Yes. Yeah.
A good man does not just fund his present, but he funds the future for 2 generations that he might not even live to see.
Jesus.
That thing hit me like a ton of bricks. Because I don't know how much money you got today, but I know how much I got in mine. And if I were to die today, I can honestly say that per the Bible's definition of a good man and his inheritance, I wouldn't fall in that category. The question I asked you on this morning is, how many of you can honestly say that if you were to be called home to glory today, that what you're leaving behind will help to set up the next 2 generations after you?
Yes.
Anybody? Is anyone in that position this morning? Well, that's okay. I got good news. We can get there. Hope is not lost. There's still time. At least I pray so. But as I thought about that question, I was forced to think about why we aren't in that position. Now, last week we talked about overcoming. That was the message. We shall overcome. But now that we've overcome, what will we leave behind? Why aren't we leaving these things behind? Simply put, we don't know. Many of us were never taught that we are to live our lives to prepare the next 2 generations. Many of us are having a hard enough time taking care of ourselves.
Right.
Let alone another 2 generations. Some of us are struggling with the children that we have. We ain't even thinking about grandchildren at this point.
Right.
And so for many of us, it's just a matter of ignorance. We didn't know. Now, it's been in this Bible for since 1611, but we still didn't know. But the other reason we don't do this is because we've been taught the opposite.
Right. Right.
Many of us come from broken communities and broken homes where the ideology passed down to us is that we not take care of the next 2 generations, but we put ourselves in a position to take care of not only ourselves, but the previous generation.
Get out of my purse.
For this reason, many of us put our children on football fields and make them collide and crash into one another, hoping that one day they'll make millions of dollars so that I won't have to work anymore. Not looking at the damage we may be causing our children on that field. We're just thinking about what we will get out of the deal. For this reason, we push our children into things sooner than they should be. Because the hope is maybe one day they will earn enough money doing this to take care of me. And why do we do this? For many of us, we don't plan.
That's it right there.
And though we may never say it with our mouths, our actions show that our children we subconsciously see as mistakes.
Yeah.
And so since this mistake has inconvenienced me, the least this mistake can do when they get older is make up for lost time.
That's heavy. Come on.
It ain't gonna be a popular message.
Come on. Teach.
And I pray I don't offend anybody.
Teach.
Because at the end of the day, many of us are doing the best we can with what we have.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I told God is when I die, I want to be remembered as the preacher that not got people happy about what God is going to do.
Right.
But gave them a reason to celebrate what God was doing in their lives.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen.
Physical manifestation
Amen.
and changes
Amen.
in their lives.
Yes. Yes.
That they don't die waiting like grandmama for change.
Yes.
But that they put their hands to the plow that Jesus told us
Yes.
to see the change.
Yes. Yes.
That they move in the power that God promised us.
That's right.
That God doesn't have to step down off the throne every time we need something.
Uh-huh.
But that we can go boldly before the throne of
The
grace
scripture.
and bring about change. And there's no saying that when you know better, you do better.
Mm-hmm.
So my prayer is that by the end of this sermon, we will know better. And that we will do just a little better. So we're not doing this. We're not preparing the next two generations because we weren't taught to. And for many of us, we're funding the present of the past generation at the expense of future generations.
Ah, that was good. Yeah.
Today I want to share 4 things a good man leaves behind for his children's children.
Mm-hmm.
4 things a good man leaves behind for his children's children. I pray that you will take notes.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing, today's letter will be R, for those who are wondering.
Mm-hmm.
First thing is reputation.
Yeah.
A good man leaves a reputation for his children's children. I want to ask a question. Are you leaving behind a name that the next 2 generations will be proud to carry? What is the value of your name? I can't remember when, but I believe it was earlier this year. A brother by the name of Birdman. I don't know what his real name is. These are Cash Money Records. A brother by the name of Birdman went to a radio station, Hot 97, The Breakfast Club. It's a very interesting show. You can catch it on 103 Jams in the morning. But he goes on The Breakfast Club, and he has a situation. Somebody has been disrespecting his name.
Yes.
And so he goes on The Breakfast Club, and he goes into a rant, and he sits down, and he has his hands crossed. He said, y'all gonna put some respect on my name.
That's what he said.
Y'all gonna put, we even turned it into memes on social media.
Yeah, we did.
Put some respect on my name. Well, the question I want to ask, bless you, Donnie. The question I want to ask is, what are you doing today
To put respect.
for the next 2 generations? To not just respect your name, but to have respect on their name. Will people look at the next 2 generations that came from you and respect them because of who you are? Proverbs 22:1 says it this way: a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches,
Yes.
and loving favor rather than silver and gold. What is he saying? This brings me to my first thought. There are some places that a good name can take you that good money cannot.
Okay.
That's right.
Yes.
There are some places that a good name will carry you that good money will not. If I can give you an
That's good.
illustration. Last year, it was about January, February when we went to the museum. It was around January. How many of you have been to the new African American Museum in D.C.? Just by show of hands. 1, 2, 3. Y'all know how hard it is to get those tickets.
Yes.
I remember I was trying to plan a trip to see where me and my wife could go, and I went on the website looking to secure tickets, and I went out to 2018 and couldn't get available tickets. It's a very difficult thing to do. Well, I have a reputation of being Dr. Lewis's favorite mentee. He has about 5 or 6 mentees, but I have somehow become the favorite. That's my reputation. They know it. I ain't ashamed of it. Dr.
Okay.
Lewis ain't ashamed of it. I brag every time I see the other mentees. You know I'm the favorite, right? That's just my reputation. Well, Dr. Lewis secured some tickets, but he couldn't make it. And so who got a phone call? The favorite mentee. He said, mentee, I got these tickets, but I can't go. Would you and your wife like to go? My good name, my reputation, brought forth an opportunity that my money could not. Say so. One of the best things you can leave your child is a good reputation. Because that good name will open up doors for them or close doors for them, depending on what you did with your life.
Wow.
How many of us make decisions with that in mind? How will the decisions I make today affect the next 2 generations? If I quit my job today, how will that affect the next 2 generations? If I drop out of college, how will that affect the next 2 generations? If I don't set up a 401k, how will this affect the next 2 generations?
Right.
If I give up on this child, how will that affect the next 2 generations? If I walk away from God, how will this affect the next 2 generations? Or are we living our lives making decisions based on how we feel at the moment? A good name. Why is a good name important? Your reputation sets an expectation for the next generation.
Yeah. That was good. That was good.
Your reputation sets an expectation for the next generation. My godmother, Margie McDonald, used to tell my mom all the time, that boy's going to be great. And even down to the day she died, she was like, see, I told you, that boy's going to be great. I ended up preaching her funeral. Never thought in a million years I would do that. Amen. But her saying that was not based on anything within me. Because she'd been saying that before I ever did anything. It was based on my mom's reputation. We have one of the best administrators in any church.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you why, because many of you don't know this. My mother has a gift of administration.
Yes.
Let me tell you how gifted she is. My mother was a store manager for many years. Every store she went to, she made it $1 million store. They would literally send my mother to stores that were closing or failing, and she would turn the store around.
Yeah.
What? My mother, she back there shaking. You see her smile, back there shaking her head. My mother is gifted. And so when my godmother looked at my mother, she said, now I see the greatness in her. So if he's a new, improved version of you, I can only imagine where he's at.
Come on here, sir.
And that set an expectation in my life that it wasn't pressure per se, but it set a standard that anything less than great is unacceptable.
Come on.
My mom never beat me up and said, you got to do this, you got to do that. No. She just exemplified greatness. And because she exemplified greatness, I walked into greatness.
That was good.
What type of greatness are you exemplifying? Do people have an expectation for your children? Because if you don't have an expectation for your children, there's a good chance they don't have an expectation.
They ain't got one for you. Come on here, sir.
If people look at Evangelist Branch and don't say, that boy's going to be great, talking about his son and his daughter, then there's something he ain't doing right. When the little Goodmans come around, if folks ain't looking at them like, man, he going to be a bad brother when he come up. Because I know the stuff his dad into. Or she going to be a bad little sister because I know the things her mom does. Then we're doing something wrong.
Absolutely.
We're not preparing a good reputation for them.
Absolutely.
Reputation. Good man leaves a good reputation. I want to ask a question. Does your name come with benefits or does it come with burdens?
What's really going on?
Good God.
My
what is
God.
attached to your name? One of the things I told my wife recently was, I want you to be proud that you took my name.
Yes. Yes.
I took a perfectly fine name from her and gave her mine.
Yeah.
I have no business replacing her name with a name that is not of equal or greater value.
You better say it.
That's a word.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Sisters, don't take nobody's name that don't come with benefits.
Come on.
And brothers, if you ain't got no benefits with your name, don't try selling it to no sister.
You better come on here.
What is attached to your name? When I say Michael Jordan, what do you think about?
Shoes.
Shoes. Basketball.
Shoes.
Let's do it. His name is synonymous with his greatness. When I say Tiger Woods, what do you think about?
Golf.
Oh, club. I would say now you might be thinking about that scandal nowadays. At one time you was thinking about golf, but right now you're thinking about.
I'm stressed out.
But his name is synonymous with his greatness. When people say your name, what's the first thing that comes to their mind? These are things we don't think about.
Right.
When people say your name, do people say, "Oh Lord"?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or when people say your name, do they say, "Let me tell you something about them"?
Right.
Yes, Lord. That
Right.
person blessed me.
Right.
That person is awesome. Something that blessed me recently, I was in a conversation with a young lady I used to work with. And she recently, well not recently, but some years actually, so God is good. She quit Canon and went into business for herself. But we still kept in contact, great sister. And we were sitting having a conversation recently. And one of the things she told me, I never expressed anything to her, never told her what I prayed. But she said, you know what? You are this generation's Solomon.
My God.
Now, I've never shared with her. Some
My
of you may have
God.
heard me say this before. When I first started my journey into ministry, I prayed and asked God to give me the wisdom of
Of
Solomon.
Solomon.
I said, God, give me the wisdom of Solomon, but don't let me make Solomon's mistakes. That was my exact word.
Rewind that again.
Because that brother died a horrible death.
Yes, sir.
Give me his wisdom, but don't allow me to make his mistakes. And so for her to say that showed me that I was building the reputation I desired. And the reputation that I desire for my children to walk in. Because the same way people come to me for advice, just everyday people, I want CNN calling my kids when something goes on in the world.
Yeah.
I want Fox News calling my children when something's going on in the world. I want them to say, oh, something happened in New York, call one of them Goodmans. Because they're wise and I know they hear from God.
Yes.
That's the legacy. That's the reputation. That's the name.
Yes.
And I live every day. Y'all ain't just getting them text messages every day for no reason. I'm practicing. I'm like, book of Proverbs. Like, that's what I'm doing.
Yes, sir.
That's the legacy I'm leaving behind. Are you actively building your name? The world says it this way, building your brand.
Yeah.
What are you building? What type of name are you leaving behind? And will your name open doors for your children? Or will they find doors closed because of your name?
It's good.
I can't remember if it was yesterday, Friday night. My wife and I went to Lifeway Christian bookstore, and we get to the line and we're paying for our goods. And the lady says, "Are you military?" I said, "No." I was like, "I'm a preacher though." She was like, "Oh, you a preacher?" I said, "Yeah, I'm a preacher." She was like, "Oh, well, you get a discount." I said, "What?" Praise God. She was like, "Just fill this page out." And so I'm filling it out. And while I'm filling it out, she's ringing my wife up. And she says, "Okay, let me go ahead and add that 15%. Now I said, "Wait a minute. I'm filling out the paperwork. Why is she getting a discount?" Because she had the name.
There you go.
What you say?
There you go.
What sort of blessings are going to trickle down to your children, Lord, because of your name? What favor comes with your name?
Yes.
She got 15% off. But I was filling out paperwork. She ain't even lift a pen. But that's what a good man does. A good man builds the favor to his name so that he can then leave it to his children. And here's the thing. He might not even live to benefit from the favor, but he'll find joy in the fact that his children will.
His children will.
A good man leaves a reputation for his children. If you were to die today, how far would your name carry the next 2 generations? Would they even be proud to say they have your last name?
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
It is, yeah.
What are you doing? The reason I'm involved in so many things, and I share this with my wife, I said I never want my children to not know possibility.
Right.
I don't want them to just see that dad is a preacher, and so that's the only path I have.
Right.
Nah, dad was a preacher. Dad was a civil rights activist.
Right.
Dad was good with technology, worked in IT. Dad wrote a few books.
Mm-hmm.
Dad started a publishing company. Dad started a consultation company. Like, I want to show them so many possibilities.
Yeah.
What possibilities come with your name? Some of us look at our family tree and it ain't nothing but branches.
Okay.
But you can be the branch
Yes, sir.
that starts producing fruit. Amen?
Amen.
That was real.
Reputation. 4 things a good man leaves behind for his children's children. It starts with a reputation.
Yes, sir.
A good name. Keep your name clean.
Keep it clean. That's
Don't
it.
have
Yeah.
your name in no mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
When your children walk in a building and say, I'm such and such boy, folks should just say, welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome. Come have a seat at the table.
Yeah.
Come over here. Let me get you this. Because your dad or your mom were good to me. Reputation. The next thing a good man leaves behind is relationships. Relationships. Somebody say relationships. Are you leaving behind the right connections? What do I mean? Proverbs 27:17 says, iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. In other words, Solomon is saying, a sharp iron must sharpen other sharp iron.
Mm-hmm.
If both y'all dull, you ain't going nowhere.
Not sharp.
Is your circle sharp, or is your circle dull? There's a saying, it takes a village to raise a child. I want to expand on that. If it takes a village, then make a village.
Yes. Yes.
Because some of us are in villages that are not productive. And we do our children a disservice when we limit them to that village, when we can put together a village
Yes,
that will
you
give them
can.
everything their current village doesn't have.
Absolutely. Yes, you can.
So if it takes a village, you got to make a village. What does your community consist of? What type of people are you surrounding yourself with? That if you died today, you can honestly say that your children will be okay. And this is family. This is friends. I love my family. Some folk, my kids ain't going over their house.
Okay.
They come home for the family reunion and the cookout. They ain't going over there.
Okay.
And I love them. I do. I ain't gonna keep them away. But they ain't spending the night.
I know that.
I don't want to come home with nothing.
Okay.
I ain't sitting with.
Okay.
Amen.
I know you're right.
Amen.
But again, my view of children is that this is a promise that I waited for from God.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't plan on having mistake children.
Right.
I don't make mistakes.
Right.
But it's not an inconvenience for me.
Right.
We're talking about children. We're
Right.
planning for children.
Right.
Like this, it ain't gonna catch us off guard.
Right.
And so my mindset is, God, if you give me this thing, I know that you're gonna make me responsible for this.
Right.
You're gonna give me all that they need to be successful.
Right.
You're gonna put in me all that they need to thrive. And so relationships, that even boils down to who I'm surrounding them with. I want you to take your smartphone out real quick. And I want you to go to your list of contacts. And I want you to just scroll. Take a minute. Take a minute while I look over my notes. Take a minute to scroll through your contacts. And I want you to ask yourself a question as you look at all of those names you scroll through.
Come on.
Can I call you with a need? And if you have more people that you can't call with a need than you have that you can, you you might want to reevaluate your circle.
All right.
Because
All
what
right.
that means, especially if you have children, is that if you die today, they might not be in good hands.
All right.
And don't get me wrong.
That's good. That's good.
I'm a servant, so I have a lot of phone numbers in my phone that I probably can't call with a need. Because I'm helping to meet a need for them.
Right.
But I still got a good number in there.
Okay.
Where if it ever got real,
Okay.
if I ever needed, I could call them.
Yes.
Evaluate.
Yes. Yes.
Some of y'all done flicking already?
Yes.
Really? What is? Let me ask this question. What's on the other end of that connection? As you look at every one of the contacts, what's on the other end of this connection? If it's Uncle Pookie, what Uncle Pookie connecting me to? If it's Bay, what is Bay connecting me to?
Okay.
If it's BFF,
You better say
what is
it.
BFF connecting
Okay.
me to? If it's Pastor, what is he
Okay.
connecting you to? Relationships. A good man leaves a community that his children can benefit from.
Yes.
Leaves a community that will sharpen and challenge them to be the best that they can be. This is Youth Sunday, ain't it?
Come on.
Amen. Sometimes we parents need a word.
Yes.
How many of you have ever played what do you call pick-up basketball? Pick-up basketball. No ballers in here? Well, praise God. Pick-up basketball. Hey, come on, play basketball. Pick-up basketball. She thinks she got a game. We gonna see. Pick-up basketball is when you got a group of brothers, might be 20, 30 brothers, and there are two team captains. And so those two captains start putting together a team that they believe will lead them to victory. And so you never want to be the odd man out that they not picking because you really can't ball, because they're going to start with the best baller and start working their way down to the worst. If we can apply this principle to playing basketball, why are we not applying this principle to bringing forth the next two generations? Who's on your team? And who have you picked?
Amen.
Because if you pick them and they're not capable of leading you to the victory that you're looking to gain, I feel for you. What's on the other end of your connection? Bring me to my next thought. We must build communities around our children that are capable of building up our children.
Sir, that was good.
Don't surround your children with people with horrible habits. Because they're sponges.
Absolutely.
And they're going to pick up the horrible habits.
Absolutely.
Pick friends that you would want your children to pick.
That's it. That's it. Yes.
Some of us pick horrible friends and then look at our children and say, why do you hang with them?
Yes.
Look at your friend.
Okay.
I'm replicating what I'm seeing at home.
Help us, Elder.
One of the reasons I do so much in the community is because I want my children to see me shaking hands with mayors. I want them to see me shaking hands with business owners. I want them to see me shaking hands with people who are doing things to make the community better. Because then when they start picking their friends, they have a criteria. Are you worth my time or are you a waste of time? I don't want to connect with somebody that's not going anywhere. Because my daddy didn't connect with people that ain't going away. Everybody my dad connects with is going somewhere. And so now that's my standard. And so if you just want to go smoke weed around the corner, God bless you. But I'm going to make a difference somewhere.
Yeah.
I want to start a business one day, and so me and Antoine going to get together because he's talking about he got some lemons, and I got an idea for lemonade. It's entrepreneurship. And what's amazing is when you look at the wealthy, that's what they do.
That's what
They
they do.
surround themselves with people who are going in the same direction. They even hook their children up so they can build little dynasties. What are we doing? What communities are we building? Our communities are in poor shape. They are. But what are we doing to build up our communities? Are we settling for what the community has to offer? Are we willing to put our hands to the plow and make the community what we need it to be? Amen, somebody. There is a river in China. It's called the Nandu Iron Bridge. No, Nantu River Iron Bridge. It was erected in 1942, and in 2000, October of 2000, a part of the bridge collapsed. You can actually still go there today, and a lot of people like to go and take pictures of it, because you have a bridge that extends from land, and it just stops. Doesn't connect to anything. And here lies the struggle of many of us. Many of us are surrounded by people who are just like this bridge.
Yes.
They're connecting to us and what we have to offer, but they don't connect us to anything.
To nothing else. Yes. Yes.
Is your phone
Yes.
filled with people?
Yes.
I'll say it this way. Is your phone filled with bridges to nowhere? One of the things I like to say is it's better to build a bridge that you never need than to need a bridge that you never built. But some of these bridges we got to burn because they ain't taking us.
Okay, sir.
Jesus. Thank you, Jesus.
If you were to die today, have you built enough bridges to get the next two generations where they need to go?
To get them over.
Not just you, not just your children, but have you built a community that your children can pull from and benefit from for the next 2 years? A couple years ago, I got a phone call about a need. Either a phone call or text message, I can't remember. I was at work, but there was a need. Somebody was about to get put out, and they needed some rent money. And so I went through my phone, and every morning I send out my daily thoughts. There's about 175 people that I sent to. And so I said, why not? I sent that same group of people the message about the need. In less than 24 hours, I had the money for the person. That's because there was something connected to the bridge.
Yes.
I connected to.
Yes. Yes.
So because I was connected,
Yes.
something connected on the other end of my bridges, I was able to connect a person who did not know any of these bridges to their need. If your child needs an internship, is there somebody in your phone you can call? If your child needs their first job, is there someone in your phone you can call?
Yes.
If your child ain't got nothing to eat, is there someone in your phone you can call?
That's
if
right.
your child moves out of state, is there someone in your phone in that state that can get to them in an emergency?
That's it. That's it.
Our
Yep.
phone, we should be spending our lives building relationships that will set up the next two generations. When I close my eyes on this side, I should be confident in the name that I left behind
Yes.
and the connections that I've left them. That they will get where God has destined them to go, even if my hands are not here pushing them. Would your neighbor say, neighbor?
Neighbor.
Might be deleting time.
Might be
It's
bleeding
definitely
time.
deleting time.
Praise God.
Amen.
So a good man leaves behind a reputation. A good man leaves behind relationships. A good man, and we cannot escape this, but I didn't want to start with it because it's not the most important. And too many times we put all of our importance on this, but a man has to leave behind some resources. A good name is good, good relationships is good, but you still got to leave some behind. And here's the thing about resources. Resources is not just money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, we got to talk about money though. We do have to talk about it. I have never been more motivated to get out of debt than I am now. Because what I'm starting to realize is that what the Bible says is right. Money answers all things. Now, money may not gain me access to all things because I just told you that there are some places a good name can go that good money cannot go. But money does still answer a good amount of things, and that's based on the system we live in. I covered this last week. We live in a capitalistic society. That's how it operates. And so, Biggie said, more money, more problems, and that is true, but also, more money, more opportunity. And that's one of the issues that plagues our community is that we don't have the money to provide for certain opportunities for the next generation. They're not getting quality education because the funds aren't there. It broke my heart earlier this week to hear that Portsmouth public schools might not be opening on time because they hadn't approved a particular budget. That's devastating. But what's more devastating to me is that my church isn't in the position, though we will be one day, to step in and say, don't worry about it, you still starting on time.
Yeah.
That's
Yes. Yes.
That when the government
Yes.
fails, there's a government on the shoulders of Jesus that'll make
Come on.
That's good. That's
resources. You have necessary resources. The Bible says it this way: a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Now again, it's not just money. It's not just money. I put it in the form of a relay race. How many of you have ever seen a relay race?
Mm-hmm.
Brother John here. Leon. How a relay race works is, I start off with something. Ain't wrong with that. I start off with something, and I run a lap. And as I'm coming, clearly he hasn't seen a relay race because he's
Exactly. Right. Start again.
Start off with something.
Okay. Okay. Get ready. Get ready. Get
Don't miss it
ready.
twice.
Get ready. Get ready.
And I hand him off something.
And then go.
Now here's the dilemma. If I drop it, we all disqualify.
Everybody. Everybody. That was good. Yeah. Everybody.
Good revelation. I'm getting to you. Preach. If I drop it, we all disqualify.
Mm-hmm.
But if I give it to him, he can run. And then he pass it on to somebody, he can run.
Come on, man. Pay it forward. I know that's right.
Come on, Bishop. Come on, Bishop. Oh, Lord. I cannot. Jesus. Lord,
Are you giving,
bless the saints.
Are you giving them
Bless the saints.
to run with?
Amen.
Are you giving
Thank
them
you, Lord.
something to run with? I drove to Henderson, North Carolina recently, and when I got there, thank you, Bishop. When I got there, I had about a half tank of gas. And God took me back to that place as I was preparing the sermon. He said, now imagine you got to Henderson, which was just from Virginia to North Carolina. We had a half tank of gas. What would happen if I hopped out? Let's say my son was with me, he old enough to drive. I hop out in the car, and I hand him the keys, and I tell him to go further than me. Well, he only has a half tank of gas. And if it took me a half a tank of gas to get to North Carolina, but I'm telling him to go to Georgia with a half tank of gas, he ain't gonna make it.
I ain't gonna make it.
Either he ain't gonna make it, or there's gonna have to be some divine intervention. And that's what's happening with some of us. We make the journey, and we get to where we're going. But along the journey, we haven't made provision to fuel
Yes.
this generation.
Yes.
And since I dropped the baton, I disqualify a generation. Now, there are exceptions to every rule. Many of us in this room are exceptions to the rule.
Yes. Yeah.
Matter of fact, give
Amen.
yourselves a hand for
Amen.
being the exception.
Amen.
Because we'll be honest, many of us had to drive to Florida on a half tank of gas. But by the grace of God, we made it. And some of us can't even explain how we made it.
Amen.
Other than but God. And that's a blessing. But that should not be the expectation. Every generation should not be, you'll make it by the grace of God. Can there be a generation where, because of the grace of God, you ain't got to worry about making it?
My God. Yeah, sir.
Because
Yes,
of the grace
sir.
of God on my life.
Yeah. Yes,
You ain't
sir.
got to ask questions about your life. But you can just tell the next generation about the goodness of my God. And show them how to praise my God for the struggle you ain't have to go through. Isn't that how it's supposed to be? Resources. What are we leaving behind? Are we leaving money behind? One of the things that bothers me the most, and I pray I don't offend nobody, I might, but it's okay.
Teach.
Bible says, forgive me 490 times at least. GoFundMe is okay. That should not be the expectation.
Come on.
And it does my heart great disservice to see that. Like, especially if it's a believer. I'm proclaiming this powerful God on Facebook.
Come on.
But that God has not given me the provision to see to it that my family
Come on.
not even have to worry about putting me in the ground. But that they can then begin to fund their dreams and to go on and do the things that God has called them to do.
Yes. Yes.
I got 20 videos on Facebook of me
Okay.
and talking about how the power failed. But I had to hope and pray that the very people on Facebook that I'm trying to reach will donate.
Jesus.
Take care of something
Jesus.
that God told me to take care of for the next 2 generations.
Jesus, sir.
But I haven't even taken care of it for myself. I don't mind GoFundMe being the exception. Stuff happens, life happens. I ain't here to beat nobody up. But that cannot be the expectation.
Cannot.
That cannot be the expectation, and I still expect you to take my God serious.
Yes. Yes.
It can't be.
Yes.
It can't be.
Yes.
What resources? One of the most powerful things in the Bible, and it happened by happenstance and sin, unfortunately, but God gives David the vision to build the temple. But David does not get to build the temple because he's a man of murder, there's blood on his hands, and he did some things he shouldn't have done. And so God says, you won't build the temple, but your son will build the temple. Now here's the thing, and this brings me to my next thought. It's not enough to encourage our children to go further than us. We must equip them for the journey. David could have just told Solomon, you can build God's temple. I believe in you. Now go be great. But no. David literally gave him the blueprint to build the temple. We do our children a great disservice when we say, go further than me. And we encourage them, go further. You can make it. You can be the next president. You can do this. You can do that. But you're not equipping me for the journey. Don't tell me I can graduate college. And here's the thing. You might not have money, but you should be finding every scholarship possible.
That's right.
Make sure I got the money to
That's
go.
right.
That's equipping me for the journey. Don't tell me I can be the next president and you ain't signed me up for the Student Government Association in high school or push me to do it. It's not enough to encourage them to go further. We have to equip them to go further. And that's through our resources. That's through projects. One of the things I tell my wife I want to do, and I believe I'm going to do it, I want to give my son his first job, or my daughter. I don't want them to have to go outside of the Goodman home to get employment. Because they can help make me rich. Why not? We all win.
Amen.
This is what wealthy people do.
Amen. Amen.
We got a president who did it. I'm telling you. You build something for the next generation. And so I build it, and then when you're old enough to start working on it, I put you on it, and then I leave it to you. And so I'm going to start this publishing company and this consulting company. And when my children are old enough, I'm going to put them to work. They're going to start off volunteering at first, praise God, but then they're going to get paid.
Okay.
That's right.
They got to learn some work ethic first.
Amen.
And then once they work it, if they want it, they can have it. But if they say, Dad, I want to go further. Your publishing company is good. Your consultation company is good. But you know what? I want to make movies. Sell the business and go buy you a studio. I've just funded the next 2 generations.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't want to be the preacher that makes you happy about what God is going to do.
Come on now. I want it to be done.
Let's celebrate
My God.
and get it done.
Yes.
So then when the cloud falls, we got something to celebrate about. It disturbs me to see, and I don't judge anybody, but it disturbs me to see churches that every week they shout. Ain't ain't never no ash and sackcloth.
Sir.
Yes,
Sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
And I know the neighborhood your church in.
Okay.
And what the poverty level look like.
Sir.
You celebrating.
Yeah.
Right.
Go get the victory first.
Yes. Yes. God knows it is.
Go get the
God
victory
knows
first.
it is.
You can
It's
invite
serious.
people to celebrate with you.
Yes. Come on, God.
Resources. One thing I tell people, if I don't have the answer, I'll point you in the direction of someone who does.
Yes, you do.
Good, Elder. Good.
I don't have it all. And that's the importance of relationships. All these things tie together. But you can't build healthy relationships without a good name. So my good name will bring relationships that will turn into resources for other people. See, the cycle was starting to build. Goodman leaves resources. I remember my wife locked my keys in the car. Praise God. A few occasions. Thank God for grace, forgiveness. But she locked my keys in the car a few times. And I had to call my insurance company. And my insurance company sent somebody called a locksmith. Now, a locksmith spends his days unlocking doors for other people.
Amen. Yes. Yes.
Amen. I got you. Amen. I got you.
Yeah, he spends his day unlocking doors for other people. He spends his day letting people in places they normally couldn't get in.
Unlock the doors. Come on now.
And so a good father, a good parent, a good mother
Come on out here.
spends their life as a locksmith.
Come on.
It is your job to unlock as many doors as possible for the next 2 generations.
Amen.
There should never come a door that your child can't get in. If your child even hints that they want a particular career, it is your job to start unlocking those doors. If my child wants to be a neuroscientist, it is my job to go and open as many doors as possible. Are there any neuroscientists in my community? What's their name? Where their office at? Do they have a summer program? Can my son just come and sit? Can my daughter just come and take notes?
Yeah.
Can she follow you around just to see what a day looks like? It is my job to start opening up those doors. What does tuition for something like that cost? Are you unlocking doors? Or are you leaving them to jiggle the handles
Oh, Lord.
and wonder what could have been?
Yes. Yes.
Resources. It's not enough to have a good reputation. It's not enough to build a bunch of good relationships, and then you don't have any resources. And so the question I want to leave you with is, if you were to die today, could the next 2 generations build a future with the tools that you were leaving them? Could they? I don't want to be that person. I do not want to be that person. I refuse. I told God,
Amen.
I will not
Amen.
be that person. One last thing, and I'm going to let you go.
Teach,
Praise
Elder.
God. It's not enough to have a good reputation. It's not enough to build great relationships. It's not enough to have access to all these resources. A good man leaves his children's children reverence.
Yes. Yes.
Reverence. Somebody say reverence. What do I mean? Are you leaving behind the right faith? Proverbs 22:6 says, train up a child in the way he should go. When he is old, he will not depart from it. That does not just mean ensure that your child gets quality education, ensure that your child has a place to live, ensure that your child has the latest sneakers and Xbox video games. Make sure your child knows Jesus.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you, Jesus.
One of the struggles we have with this generation, and I've been watching, I don't know why God is, I guess I know now, but I have been watching all these videos of this new age thing that's going on, this knowledge and wisdom and all this stuff. And it occurred to me that one of the struggles of this generation, as far as them connecting with our God, is that they have questions that we seemingly can't answer. And as an inquisitive person myself, I feel them. Because for you to tell me that God created the heavens and the earth, that God parted the Red Sea, that God held the sun, and wouldn't let it set until the battle was won. That God is all powerful, almighty, all knowing. But whenever I have a question, your response is, don't question God.
Yeah.
And the response is, don't question God because you don't know.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
I told y'all about the debate between the Muslim and the Christian I saw on YouTube.
Yeah.
And the Christian was asked all these questions about this Muslim, and his response was, well, you just got to have faith. And I'm like, well, no, if you turn Ecclesiastes, it's in there. Or if you turn Genesis, it's in there. He just wasn't well versed enough in his Bible to answer this guy's questions. I've asked God plenty of questions. Crazy questions. My mind likes to wander sometimes. And it has only solidified my faith in God. Because for every question I have, he takes me to his word and he shows me the answer.
Yes.
There's a young lady that my wife has kind of taken on as a sister in Christ, kind of a babe in Christ. She's growing in her faith. And she has a son. And her son asked her a question she couldn't answer, or at least didn't know how to answer it appropriately. So she reached out to my wife and she says, can your husband call my son to answer this question? And my wife approached me. Hey, baby, so-and-so said, can you call your son? Got some questions. She don't know how to answer. And I said, yeah, cool little guy. Like him. I'll call him. And so I called him. And his question was, what happens when you die? Now, I don't have no kids. So I never really entertained how you explain that to a child. So I was kind of caught off guard. I started praying. I was like, Lord, you got to give me something, because I'm not ready for this. And God literally gave me the answer and gave me the ability to explain it to him.
Yeah.
In a way that he would understand.
Yeah.
Where it wouldn't keep him up at night screaming.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But he was able to receive at his level what he wanted to know. And I commend her as a mother, because instead of just saying, boy, shut up and sit down,
Right.
she said, this is a matter of life and death.
Absolutely.
My son has an eternal question. And I will not rest until he has an answer. I might not have it, but I'm going to reach out to somebody who does. How many of us, our children have questions, and really we just may not know the answers. But instead of searching the scriptures with them, or instead of calling the pastor, or calling one of the ministers, or calling one of the elders, or Googling, it's 2017.
Okay. Exactly.
We just say, you don't question God. Well, shut up and sit down. Ask me any questions. But how to do better? Because if we don't answer,
The world gonna answer.
Okay. Yes,
and the answer
sir.
that the world gonna give,
Yes, sir.
gonna have you looking real strange one Sunday night,
Yes, sir.
trying to figure out what happened with your child. They have questions. Do we have answers? So we have to train them up in the way they should go. I'm scared of the parent who says, I'll just let my child make that choice. Looks like the quote Joshua, as for me in my house, we will serve the Lord. Well, they still in your house, but you talking about they got options.
Okay.
If your son broke his ankle, and he was like, come on, we going to the doctor. And he was like, Daddy, I don't want to go to the doctor. Would you take him anyway? Why? Because it's best for him. Little Johnny don't want to go to church this Sunday. Well, you know, Johnny
Go there.
don't want to go to church.
Go there.
He's 7, but he can stay home and play Xbox.
No, sir.
Johnny can live with a broke leg,
I'm just saying, you can't do that.
but he ain't gonna make it with a broke soul.
Come on.
But it makes me beg the question, and maybe this is the tough sale that we have. Do you believe the way you say you do? How many of you believe hell is real?
Yes.
If hell is real, And I believe that if a person does not accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, then they will spend eternity there. Does my child have an option?
Okay.
And see, here's the thing. I can't make my child believe anything. But my faith should be so strong in my God.
Yes.
They should see such
Yes.
reverence
Yes.
for me and my God.
Yes.
They should hear so many
Yes.
stories
Yes.
about what God has done for
Yes.
me. That my God is irresistible to them.
Yes.
I remember, I'm an educated shopper. Anytime I go to buy something, I already know everything about what I'm coming to buy. But I like to mess with people sometimes. So I go in an electronics store. I work in IT. Just mess with them, see if they know something. I start asking questions. All right, they'll answer. Hey, does this do such and such? And they'll go look at the tag. Yeah, bro. Yeah, according to this. Okay. Well, can I do this? Hold on. Let me see if I got the box. And then I just throw a wrench in it. I just make something up. Well, what about this? Now, if they want to sell bad enough, they'll, yeah, man, yeah. Nah, they don't. I already looked this up before I got here. But here's the thing. Many of us are trying to sell our children a God that we don't know.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
And the same way I'm tempted to walk away from that person who don't know a thing about what I'm coming to buy is the same way this next generation is walking away from our God.
Help us, Lord.
Because you're telling me that you love a God who you only visit on Sundays. You're telling me you love a God that you only speak to twice a week. When I first met my wife, I had a million questions. I wanted to know everything about her. That's what you do when you're interested in somebody. Right? How many of you ever dated before? You got your same list of 99 questions you go down. And you stay on the phone all times of night talking because you can't get enough of this person. You want to know everything there is to know about this person. You want to know what they like. You want to know what they dislike. You want to know where they come from. You want to know who their family was, where they grew up at, where you graduate from, what's your favorite color. You want to know all that stuff. You do. But then I come with a few basic Bible questions. And here's the thing. My wife ain't come with a manual, but my God did.
Okay.
She didn't come with a manual. So I had to figure these things out. Both the things that she was telling me and the things that I kind of had to pick up without words. But because I love her, I did it. How many of you put that type of dedication into your God?
Yes.
Peter says, always be ready to give an answer for the things that you have.
Yes.
Always. Have one ready. Don't, hold on, no, have it ready. Ain't much you can ask me about my wife that I ain't ready to answer.
Yes.
Because I'm married to her. I love her. Ain't too much you can ask me about my God. Because I love him and I'm married to him.
Yes.
Many of us got some shaky marriages with our God. Yeah. But we're telling our children to commit to this God we haven't fully committed to. And they're living in a generation that challenges everything. Everything. They even challenge science now. They'll show them facts. You got to show me another way.
That's true.
You don't expect them to challenge your God? You don't expect them to challenge your faith? Peter says be ready. And for the believer, it should be easy because you spend so much intimate time with your God. You have so many stories to tell. You have so many traditions. One of my favorites, you all may not have even noticed, I never miss a communion Sunday.
Yes.
Never. I don't. I'm going to have to make an exception in October, Bishop. We'll talk about it. But that's an assignment. That's an assignment. But I never miss communion Sunday. Somebody asked me why. Why? Because I love to serve and I love to share. And that's what communion is for me. I love to serve God's people, and so I always want to be here. I have turned down numerous preaching engagements because they asked me to preach on the Communion Sunday. I'll preach here. I will not leave my church and preach somewhere else on the Communion Sunday because I want to serve God's people. And I grew up in this church. Most of you watched me grow up from a teenager. You all are family. I love God and I love this church. And I want my children to see that. So when they like, Daddy, you got a whooping cough this morning. What you doing going to church? It's Communion Sunday. And this is a day that I have consecrated unto the Lord.
Yes,
This
God.
means something.
Yes, Lord
I
God.
hold this day in esteem.
Yes, God.
Because my God is, so if I gotta hop in on crutches,
Yes.
I'm gonna be here on Communion.
Yes.
Because this is my altar to the Lord. So
Yes,
this
God.
is what I've built unto the Lord. What is yours? What have you consecrated unto the Lord that you can pass on to your children? That when they ask, why do you do this? It's because of this. It's because God means this to me. It's because God did this for me. Did you celebrate the Passover? Because of what God did for you. What have you given unto the Lord? What have you consecrated? What have you kept holy for your God? A good man leaves reverence. We're living in a generation that reveres nothing. Nothing is holy anymore.
Nothing sacred. No.
You can get shot in church.
Nothing sacred.
You can get shot in school. That used to be the two safest places in the world. Not no more. And not just on the church grounds.
In
You
the
can get shot
sanctuary.
in church.
Yes.
Nothing is holy anymore. But the question we have to ask ourselves is, did we leave holiness behind?
Yes. That's the
Or
question.
did we lower the standard? Did we drop the baton?
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
disqualify an entire
Yes,
generation?
sir. Yes.
This stuff is unheard of in previous generations. It was folks that wouldn't even smoke on church ground. And now you can get smoked on church ground. That is mind blowing. But it leads to my last point as I close. What happens when we don't leave these things behind? What happens when we don't leave a good reputation? What happens when we don't establish good relationships? What happens when we don't leave resources to equip them to build their future? What happens when they lose reverence? Turn to Proverbs chapter 30.
Jesus.
When I first read this scared the drawers off of me. Because I could literally see, I'm serious, I could literally see the time we're living in this text.
Yeah.
Proverbs chapter 30, verses 11 through 14. There is a generation that curse their father and does not bless their mother. There is a generation that is pure in their own eyes and yet is not washed from their filthiness. There is a generation, oh how lofty or prideful are their eyes, and their eyelids are lifted up. There is a generation whose teeth are as swords, and their jaw teeth as knives, to devour the poor from off the earth and the needy from among men. This is the generation we're facing right now.
Yes, it is.
They curse their father and don't bless their mother.
That's true. It's happening right now.
You can see that on TV now.
Yes, Lord.
You ain't got to go far. They're pure in their own eyes. I was born this way, I'm going to stay this way. And God is going to accept me this way. And you're going to accept me this way. And you're going to change how your church operates based on
Come on. Come on.
You're going to change your church programs. And you're going to build things around this. And you're going to let me do things. You're going to let me lead stuff.
Come on.
You're going to entrust holy things to me.
Come on. My Lord Jesus.
They're pure in their own eyes, not washed from their filthiness. Listen, we're not saved by works. We're not. We're not. I don't preach that.
Not the scripture.
No, that's not Bible.
It's not the
But
scripture.
your works should be reflective of your salvation.
Yes. Yes.
My works can't save me, but I should work like somebody that's been saved.
Amen.
Because I appreciate what God has done for me. And so, we have a generation. It says, how lofty are their eyes and their eyelids are lifted up. You can't tell this generation nothing. 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 Literally, nothing. They have an answer for everything. And even if the answer don't make sense, they'll defend it tooth and nail. And you can tell them it don't make sense. And they say, you don't make sense. Prideful. But here's the worst one. There's a generation whose teeth are as swords and their jaw teeth as knives to devour the poor from off the earth and the needy from among men. We have a generation that is literally doing what they're saying. They are devouring each other. Here's the truth.
My God.
I am scared.
My God.
I won't say I'm scared of this generation. I'm scared for this generation. I ain't scared of nothing. God.
That's right.
But I'm scared for this generation. Because there was a time when so-called thugs, gangsters, whatever the case may be, they would kill a man. And they'd be repentant about it. Like, God, I didn't want to do it, but it was him or me. This generation takes joy in killing. And they have no fear of anything greater than themselves. In their mind, they are God. And that is a scary... If you remember from our lesson on Egypt Tuesday, God is a jealous God. And the same way he had a plague for every god in Egypt, he got a plague for you. You do not want to go to war with God. And when you lift yourself up as a god, as this generation is literally doing, some of y'all got them in your Facebook timeline. They will tell you, I'm God. I am God. Capital G, not lowercase like in the Bible. I'm a lowercase G, but they capital G. They have made themselves one with God, equal to God. And the Bible says there's only one who can carry that title, and that's Jesus. This is the generation we're facing. And if we're not careful, we're not leaving anything behind. If we drop this baton, me personally, I won't want to have kids. But I would not want them to live in a world like that. As I close, I want to read one more scripture. 11:56. Romans 8:14-17 says, for as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. For you have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but you have received the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God, and if children, then heirs, heirs of God, and joint heirs with Christ. I'll leave you with one final thought. In order to leave the best inheritance, you must first receive the best inheritance.
Yes.
It starts there.